Chimelong Ocean Kingdom is China's second most visited theme park, with a 2024 annual attendance of 12.6 million visitors, which really is just shy of Shanghai Disneyland's 14 million visitors.
Meanwhile, Universal Studios Beijing comes in third, with 9 million visitors. Chimelong Ocean Kingdom impressively ranks as the sixth most visited theme park in the world.
And did you know that after opening Chimelong Spaceship, the world's largest indoor theme park, by the way, Chimelong renamed their Chimelong Ocean Kingdom Resort to the Chimelong Hengqin Resort, Hengqin Resort, which is the name of the bay that it's sitting in Zhuhai. And now it offers several attractions, including the Chimelong Circus, Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, and Chimelong Spaceship, along with the collection of resort hotels, including the mainland China's largest resort hotel. And then the Chimelong is also working on a giant gondola cable car system in the mountains, which the mountains are massive, and seeing a giant gondola system, I'm really looking forward to that being part of the resort. And there's rumor of a future theme park on that mountain, which I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out. No real construction there yet, though. Any very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
And you're listening to another episode of Coaster Kings. And today's episode is a China episode, a short form China episode. And this is going to be about the Chimelong Hengqin Resort. And this is mostly known to most people as Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. However, because there is now 2 theme parks at the resort, and of course a giant circus they've had for a long time, they rebranded, and we're going to be talking about both those parks this time. And if you notice us being a little bit negative on the start, that's because we're going to start talking about Chimelong Spaceship. And Chimelong Spaceship, while negative maybe our story here, is a fascinating story. So we're going to start with that, and then we'll work our way towards Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, which somehow did an even better job of being impressive this time around than last time. And it was already our favorite theme park in the world for a very long time. And it was so good to come back to that. I'm really excited to talk about it. But we have to address the elephant in the room, the orca in the room, the spaceship at the resort, because there is so much wrong here. And so let me introduce the Chimelong Spaceship. So before we get there, these are the 2 parts we're going to talk about and how we did it on this trip, because I'm trying to make sure that I start every China trip with explaining how we came and how we went and where we went to get to the park. This particular trip, this particular Chimelong Ocean Kingdom experience was a little bit different because we actually weren't in the mainland for our hotel stay. We were staying in Macau. And now Macau is a specially administrative region of China. So while it's part of China, it's diplomatically separated for any sort of customs formalities. So we technically had to leave Macau, enter the mainland, enter the People's Republic of China. And then at the end of the day, when we went back to our hotel, we had to, clear into Macau again. So that made things a little bit differently. From our hotel, we stayed at Studio City in Macau and Cotai. A long time dream for Alex. I mean, for me too. Alex's dream was to be in Macau for a vacation. My dream was to be at Studio City, and we combined that.
We both got our wishes.
Time in Macau. We both got our wishes. We had a really fun time. Macau is super clean and fancy Vegas. A little less flashy, but definitely a little more polished. So we had a really fun time doing everything we did over there, and having dinner. Where did we go for dinner? Din Tai Fung, I think. Yeah. Maybe that was on the way back. I can't remember what we did.
Anyway, a couple Din Tai Fung runs, because how can you not?
A couple runs. So the interesting thing is, there's a metro that runs from our hotel, the Studio City, to the mainland. Now, how it works is you cross a river, cross ocean, I guess. And when you get there via a bridge, the top level of it is Macau, of the building, and the bottom level is the mainland. So it's kind of interesting because they're even driving opposite directions. So the loop arounds are the opposite directions. It's a very interesting setup, but it's technically a little annex of Macau. There's the Macau University there, and it's on the mainland. And so how it works is you clear customs and border patrol into mainland China right in that exact spot. And it's one of the few border crossings with mainland China where you get processed in one go. And how that works, and it's kind of fascinating, we're going to talk about it because it's the Hengqin border crossing is known for that. And that is because there's one booth and there's two officers sitting in that booth. One officer is a Macau officer. The other officer is a PRC officer. And so when you get called up with your paperwork and your passport, we were literally just with a camera bag and like our passports. Like we had nothing else because we were just doing a little day trip because you could see Chimelong from our hotel room in Studio City, except for it's in a different country kind of thing. So we got called up with your paperwork and your passport, and then the Macau guy kind of like stamps you out pretty much. And then the mainland guy like brings you into the mainland and verifies you have a visa to be in the mainland, and then you enter the mainland. And then in reverse, you do the same thing, but it all happens in one go instead of it being like traditional border crossings where like it's like two separate events. So that was actually, it was interesting. I mean, it was smooth, but because we were there kind of in a weird time of day, early in the morning, we seem to be the only people there, and therefore there's only one officer doing the whole thing for each country. So it actually took quite a while to get in. But we still have plenty of time. And then we went downstairs to the Chinese side of things, and we got on a DD, which we've talked about DDs in our Chinese theme park episode, like the Chinese theme park planning for dummies episode. If we're going to not dive into these kind of details anymore, because if you want to know about how all this works, listen to that. It's incredibly thorough. Anyway, we took a DD to Spaceship. We got there before opening. In fact, I barged right in thinking we were ready to go. First guest of the day. Turns out I was at the resort hotel guest entrance, and I was kindly reminded to wait till 10 a.m. to get in. And so here we are at Spaceship. Now, I want to keep talking for just a second. Did you want to add anything to this, Alex, while I'm here?
Perfect. It's perfect.
So Spaceship was originally designed, named, built, and ready to open as the Chimelong Marine Science Museum. And it was branded as a museum, a little bit more of maybe like a family approach to it, cute characters, submarines, and it was a little quirky, but completely on par with the complete branding of Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. Branding-wise, it was like a companion to Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. Now, COVID happened, and this world's largest indoor theme park was kind of sitting there. It was pretty much already built, pretty much ready to roll during COVID. And I still remember doing all the content on it. Like we were doing like all this Asia stuff during COVID. We were like focusing on construction, and the park was pretty much ready to go. However, somebody somewhere in some boardroom decided that the Chimelong Science or Marine Science Museum was not a good idea anymore, and they had to change it to Chimelong Spaceship. And that's where shit went wrong right off the bat. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. It wasn't a good idea. So now they completely changed the concept, and they started going from a actual museum kind of idea where you would follow exhibits all the way around until the end of the museum. And then like the big finale was like the world's biggest orca exhibit. Really cool. It is really nice. But that was going to be the finale. You would kind of work your way around that. And then there was also a giant theme park hall inside. Right? So it all kind of made sense. That was the concept. And it was all themed to different parts of Earth, like the Amazon and like Asia and, you know, the turtles of the Atlantic, all that kind of stuff. And so that was kind of the theme. Now, during COVID, they, delayed the whole thing and they rethemed it to a spaceship. And the reason they chose a spaceship is because the exterior of the building was already kind of really futuristic design that looked like a spaceship, but it was never meant to be a spaceship. Don't get it twisted. This is really what happened. So they had already built the whole thing. And one day they just decided, you know what, we're going to make it space themed. So everything that was already built, Asia, the Pacific, whatever they had already built, all these different realms from around the world, suddenly they somehow had to be a different area of space. You see where this is going really wrong? So they started just projection mapping stars on shit. The ceilings were replaced with like fiber optic ceilings. They started just like adding little astronauts, little characters between the snakes that they had done and the animatronic turtles and this and that. And so suddenly there's this super clash. Like suddenly you're visiting Africa, except for Africa is now lined in neon and there's just stars being projected on the African architecture. Now, for someone in China, like the Chinese audience, this is not as hurtful. Because when you go to a lot of Chinese entertainment, it's all super clashy. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And like whatever sticks. They throw everything at an aesthetic, and then like it's all ruined, but nobody cares because like their attention span is 5 seconds. And the kids just want to go on the little cart ride that's next to the orca show, you know? But for me, that hurts because, like, what do you mean? You build a marine science museum, one of the coolest theme parks ever designed. Think SeaWorld Abu Dhabi, but like slightly different theme. And then, you know, with like the world's biggest acrylic panel and all these different worlds you've designed. And now, instead of being like this smooth transition, there is this, it's all super random and it's all super, super ugly. So in order to kind of change that, the opening hall that they had built was taken down, and they had replaced the opening hall with a bunch of exposed simulators. And so now the idea is that you go into the simulator, so you're leaving Earth and you go into the spaceship, and then you exit the simulator in the same hall, but on the other side of it, and you walk into the first galaxy. So now everything is themed to a galaxy. It's no longer Amazon. It's no longer a rainforest. It's no longer Asia. It's galaxy. It's Asia Galaxy. Okay? See how stupid this is? Anyway, so they enter Asia Galaxy where they have these beautiful animal exhibits and these really cute frog characters that were supposed to be like the main focus. Except they just strung a bunch of lights through it, and now it looks like a tacky overlay for Christmas, except it's full time. And it's now Asia Galaxy. Okay, so that is kind of where things really pissed me off the bat. I had heard things. I had been disappointed because I had so closely followed this project from inception, because I was already kind of fascinated with Chimelong Ocean Kingdom before we ever went in 2019. We went, we saw the big spaceship or the big museum being built. It was really impressive. We had such a baller time at Chimelong that the people that have been along for the ride for a long time now know that we were Chimelong Kings. Some of our friends are making fun of us. Chimelong a ding dong, whatever they would say to us. We were Chimelong boys. We were Chimelong boys from day one, right? And so I was so excited for this project, and I followed the construction so closely. And when I tell you that every inch of it was finished, and they ripped it all apart just to change the theme of the park, they just that, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So I have talked a lot already. So Alex, do you know where we are about? Did you want to pick up, or I want me to continue going?
Well, I know, like, to add insult to injury, the orca experience was also not what we were hoping it would be. Yeah, just to, like, what Sean's saying about the aesthetic of the park, just everything, the art direction and everything was just totally, in some ways it was stripped away, in other ways it was just left to compete and contrast with cheap shopping mall quality aesthetics kind of thrown on top, the kind of stuff that, you know, to keep short attention spans and like little kids entertained. It's just so sad. Like the art direction was so clear originally, and then they moved into this you know, kitschy, hyper, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, here's the way to describe it. Like, I would kind of say, like, imagine almost a Georgia aquarium, right? Really distinct worlds that they're designed, and different kind of tanks, and high quality, like really nice tanks. There was, shark exhibits. There was all these reef tanks. It was really impressive. Dolphin tanks. But then, you know, right next to your beautiful reef tank, there's like some throw in a quarter at the freaking grocery store so your kid can ride the fake carousel thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those little small, little tiny attractions.
Rides and
it's like,
random
what is this?
Arcade games and stuff, like cash grab, cheap. Like, it's so much of it just suddenly felt like a shopping mall, but with no shops.
It was like,
it just was so weird.
Yeah. It took an amazing aquarium, biggest thing in the world, and it just like turned into a mall.
It took something very sophisticated and then like decided they wanted to gear it more towards 5-year-olds. Even the orca show, like the underwater viewing orca shows that they did, the orcas themselves were part of the show, but felt more like the background because somebody somewhere decided that the orcas alone weren't enough, and the shows and the underwater viewing areas needed to include all of this other, you know, carnival performers and nonsense and dancing and all of this stuff. And then the orcas are just kind of there. And it's...
Well, let's talk about the orcas while we're on subject then, because the Orca Stadium is really impressive. This is the largest orca exhibit ever built. It's the largest acrylic aquarium wall ever built. And the show pool is very deep. And then almost from the entire length of it, there is a glass panel, this is why Alex is kind of mentioning some of the shows. We're talking about underwater shows like fairies and ballet dancers and in front of a glass, and then the orcas will swim by, and that's somehow an orca show. It's like, it's disappointing. You build an exhibit that is on a global scale by far the biggest, coolest thing they've ever done. Giant wave machine. The thing is waves through like an ocean, and it's one of the coolest things. And someone who has been kind of obsessed with marine parks over time, if you listen to our podcast, you know that we do Haicheng Ocean Park in Shanghai and stuff. And I was really looking forward to this because this was promised to be like the magnum opus of a marine park. It was going to be the largest thing that any marine park had ever done. And it really is, by volume and by size, 51 million liters. It is giant setup. Like, it is absolutely massive, right? And so they have 14 orcas, 9 of which were unfortunately wild caught. And they actually lived in a giant holding facility behind the park for like an unusually long time before they went on display, because the park kept getting delayed and kept getting art directional change. So now the orca exhibit, which is going to be themed like a coral reef and kind of like a one ocean thing that SeaWorld did, it's now themed to like, orcas in space. I mean, come on, guys, like, pisses me off. So anyway, so of the 14 orcas, we only saw like 4 at a time max, which I was a little disappointed by, because I've seen some promotional stuff where they have like 8 orcas in the show pool, because it's a giant show pool. And like, beggars can't be choosers, because I'm over here at an amusement park that in China that has wild-caught killer whales on display. I mean, really, I should be ashamed. But, I was also kind of looking forward to just seeing the whole exhibit, because it was such a massive thing. And if you know anything about Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, they're in the main gate, you know that they know their way around an aquarium. They know their way around an animal exhibit. It is some of the most impressive animal exhibits ever built. So the fact that we only got to see like 4 orcas at a time, the shows were mostly just like drones, performers, singers, and then like a couple orcas jumping around at the end. I was just like highly disappointed by the fact that you have wild-caught orcas, 40 orcas on display, but they're barely being shown off, because is it really the attention span of the general visitor that can't just enjoy this pod of orcas? Like, it has to be a fairy dance show instead. Like, I'm so lost at how much of a background orcas took. We were insulted. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And then there was like a couple more windows that are to the back pools, which they have really big back pools at this setup. Again, it's a really big exhibit. But then they were all covered up. One was covered up completely by like kind of like sticker, so it was not a display right now. And then the other one was covered up by these curtains. And so everything is also, by the way, like, they had these giant curtains everywhere, and they just decide which windows open when. It was like they were doing way too much while doing way too little, because like I barely saw the orcas I wanted to see, and they were doing way too much other shit that didn't really matter. So long story short, that orca setup, which was really the reason to go to begin with, that is the grand finale of the exhibit, of the whole park. It was kind of like whatever, which is unfortunate, because they really have the largest tanks in the world. Like, they've really got something cool going on, minus again the wild caught aspects. Now the park is home to some rides. Before we get to the rides, I do want to quickly mention that I guess to expand the park's offerings, they opened some of the backstage areas up, like outside, that were never part of the original park plan. And they put like these outdoor mall attractions. You can see it every Wanda Mall in China. Like little bumper boats and stuff like that, like the most random little stuff.
Drive it yourself, and they put it cars out there. And
yeah, and then between that, they built these like temporary animal exhibits, but then like not attended. There's like no staff there, and like absolutely no offense to like a mainland Chinese visitor, but I've seen plenty of times where like there's no respect for the animals at some of these parks, where like park goers will like bother the hell out of an animal, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, I'm about to do something to you, like, leave this animal alone, kind of thing, and then there gets unattended animals in these like temporary little enclosures that I'm like, I don't think this is it's not a good look. And again, the only reason I'm complaining about this so hard is because the contrast with the park next door is so crazy. It feels like a ripoff of Chimelong, but it's at Chimelong.
I spent a lot of time at this park feeling anxious about Ocean Kingdom and wondering if the quality of Ocean Kingdom had taken a dive too, as in a way that reflected what we were experiencing at their new park, at their new flagship experience. Luckily, spoiler alert, Chimelong Ocean Kingdom is still amazing and perfect. Like, it's so bizarre.
Let's not forget that you went to Chimelong Paradise this year too. I was working to Bangkok, and you went to Chimelong Paradise, and didn't you say something? I mean, Chimelong Paradise is always, this is the park in Guangzhou, same province, couple hours north.
Is a little disjointed, but they're like redoing that park from the ground up. Like almost everything that we did together on our 2019 trip is gone. Like the kiddie coaster and the skyrocket are the only two coasters that are still in the same condition that they were. The Intamin coasters got chucked. The V&M got moved across the park. They added a new coaster in a new area with like other rides and stuff as like part of their ushering in of their new. So I mean, they're really ambitious, and like when all of this redevelopment of Paradise is done, Chimelong Paradise it's going to be really nice, and it will probably be more akin to the Ocean Kingdom experience that we're used to, which again is still in grave contrast to what we experienced at Chimelong Spaceship. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, there isn't too much to talk about Spaceship anymore, because pretty much everything that we said is just throughout a problem. I'm not going to go into every little realm. I'm not going to go into every little galaxy. That's just kind of the experience.
Just
I'm not going to bore you with it.
Experience.
But there is that giant part of the park that is like the giant ride hall. And it's mostly just like an indoor family theme park you would see in Europe, just ocean themed. And that art style was actually the art style of the entire park. And I really wish that would have just been how it is, because when you get to this hall of rides, somehow the galaxy does stop. So at some point they decided not to
it's just
put star projectors and everything.
By the time you get to the back of the spaceship and it's all at the rides, by that point it seems like they really gave up. Like it's just like the tail wagging the dog. They're like they started with like a park and a goal and a concept that they wanted to do, and then by the end of it, it felt like they're just kind of being dragged around by trends and demands and expectations instead of trying to create something special. It's like, well, we have to compete with all the shopping malls kind of attitude of like building basic flat rides with, light packages and stuff. It all was like vaguely ocean themed and yet so not appropriate for Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, or at least it
well, again,
wouldn't have
I feel
been.
like the saddest thing is that the park was complete. It was a complete indoor park. We knew it was complete. We've seen the photos. Everything was complete. It was a completely cohesive aesthetic. It was an extension of Ocean Kingdom. It was just like Ocean Kingdom Part 2. An amazing, amazing aquarium, larger than life, right? And everything had the same aesthetic. The ride hall had the same aesthetic as the Orca Hall, had the same aesthetic as every single exhibit.
I will say, I think the ride hall was always a bit more like the kiddie area, like that. I think what happened was the ride hall, once they finished the ride hall, somewhere along the way, they decided they wanted to bring that aesthetic into the whole project instead of just keeping it relegated to the rides area. Because to be frank,
but I have to correct you there. That aesthetic of the ride hall is the same aesthetic as the entire original park. It is just that maybe there was like different themes like Africa, Asia, whatever, right? But like that kind of almost like blue you, kind of family-friendly oriented thing that's been doing. That was kind of the thing they did through the entire park to begin with. It was only after the fact that they decided they needed to Tomorrowland the hell out of it, where they started grabbing areas of the park and just completely throwing other aesthetics at it. But like it was really cohesive. Like the same colors and aesthetics and choral look that they were doing for the rides hall was the same colors they did for the Orca Stadium.
I'm just saying, I was never that big of a fan of the rides hall to begin with, and
got you.
The fact that it is geared towards kids and it was a lot of flashing lights and characters and like being, it was the kids area being the area that was just rides. They took that and ran with it and injected more of that aesthetic into the rest of the park instead of letting the rest of it stay the more sophisticated tone.
Except I don't find the aesthetic in the rest of the park to match out of the ride hall. The rest of the park is all just flashy lights, neon, and projections of stars.
It's just it's a cheap imitation of what they felt like was working in the ride hall.
Doesn't do anything space themed. The ride hall literally does only ocean themed stuff.
Yeah, but it's like it's more kitschy and it's more shopping mall ish and carnival ish. It's not sophisticated like the original, like the majority of the original Spaceship stuff was. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. Yeah. It was just, it was a bit more unapologetic in the fact that it was just a cluster of rides that were vaguely ocean themed instead of having like the sophisticated tone of some of the other exhibits at Ocean Kingdom and then like the rest. And then, but that area was so packed too. Like it was so crowded when we were there. It was just a bunch of like standard flat rides, except for the two
all those cool groups, of course, rides. Gravitated towards that.
There was the underwater submarine ride, which was cool, but not unlike the kind of thing that you would see at like a Lego park, because the Legoland parks like to build those too, the underwater submarine rides with with actual fish in the water, and then they had the Bermuda simulator
storm Bermuda
thing
storm
that was cool. I mean,
that was quite cool.
It was cool.
It's very different. So it's like, it's a different concept where, first of all, it was kind of themed to like Jamaica. It's like the whole vibe was kind of like tropical and like, dude with dreadlocks, almost stereotypical, and his like weed smoking monkey on his shoulder kind of thing. It was kind of hilarious. And so he was gonna give you a tour, I guess. So you get to this ship and there's this pre-show, and then the doors open and you're actually inside the ship. But then when the doors open, you walk out front on the top deck. And so you are, in the almost like Titanic style, like in the front peak,
on the bow.
What do we call that? the deck, the bow. And so with water effects and light effects and smoke effects, there you're on this giant simulator where everyone's standing up on the front deck and you're kind of leaning against these railings. It was a very fascinating thing. I'd already seen it. It's really high capacity, and it got good reviews. It's gotten awards and stuff, and maybe it wasn't as crazy high quality as an award would suggest, but it sure was creative. And they had this animatronic monkey that would come up and out of the middle of the vehicle a couple times. So the story was pretty typical, kind of like over the top fantasy pirate, where the pirate ships were flying and the monsters were coming out of the water. But I did enjoy the differences between that and like any other traditional simulator. It was pretty appropriate for Chimelong Ocean King or for Chimelong Spaceship, or the original Science Museum, to do this as a thrill ride, as opposed to, any other one, I guess. So I did enjoy that, actually, strangely.
It was okay. It was, both of the larger rides in the park. I mean, so there's no coaster. There isn't even a kiddie coaster, let alone like a signature coaster. These are really the only signature rides in the whole park are these two dark rides, and then everything else is just flat rides. So what was there was likable, but there was just not enough of that. It wasn't long after we did the rides and we prioritized time, to observe the orcas and stuff. And then after that, we kind of ran out of things to do at this place after an hour couple hours, in addition to just like time seeing the shows. Like the major orca show, I know we talked about the underwater viewing show, but like the main orca show, even though it had this like spectacular stadium, it was just a lot of nonsense leading into the orca part, and then like 15 minutes of orcas, tops. It was like half of the show wasn't even related to orcas. I don't know what the market research leads to here. I don't know if it's like really what is working or if just what they think is working. But it wasn't working for me or for you. Some of it was hard to sit through.
I mean, they had this whole like jet ski thing they were doing, with this Colombian jet ski team, whatever, in the orca pool. And I'm like, this is the dumbest shit.
Random. Like, and I'm just like, okay, this is great. It's just not. It took so long for all the time that we spent doing other shit and seeing other things. We did so very little of our day actually was spent admiring the orcas, which was the whole reason we
It's
went.
the whole reason we came.
And they don't make it easy. They don't make it easy to go to this orca park and see the orcas. You have to sit through all this other crap and walk through all this nonsense.
And it's crazy because the entire marketing thing for this park is relying on the orcas. I mean, everything you see, you're in a metro Beijing, in a metro Shanghai. You're hours away. You're continents away from this park, right? Because this park is very far south. There is like ads all over these train stations. There is a giant spaceship floating through space with orcas jumping out of it. That is the marketing for this damn place. And somehow the orca thing was just like so underwhelming. It's so unfortunate. And it's not like I had that crazy high expectations. Like I just wanted to see some orcas. Like we've seen orcas and you can think of us whatever you want at this point, because I know we're talking about orcas way too much, captive animals, but we've seen orcas in many places. In fact, the vast majority of captive orcas in the world, I think, have seen at this point. Like I'm missing like a few parks. And not like I'm necessarily chasing them down
dubious
hardcore.
honor.
They just kind of come along the way, like, you know, there's an Intamin there and there you go, kind of thing, like in Shanghai. But
so crazy.
Anyway, so it's like it shouldn't have been that hard. Anyway, we should move to the next park. We should move over because we spent way more time on this park than it deserves.
I knew we would. You were like, oh yeah, we could do this in like 40 minutes. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. I can make Chimelong quick.
But
because it's not as negative.
This is the good park. I mean, if there was a park to talk about for half an hour, it's not the spaceship park.
Okay, if this ends up being an hour episode about the Chimelong Resort, it still kind of makes sense. It's still Chimelong.
I mean, it's only fair. I was surprised when you were like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be a short form episode." I'm like, "Okay, we'll see." But I mean, then we walked over to the other park. Thank God, saved the day. We do have a full episode about this park from our 2019 visit, and not much of the park. No, like very little has changed at this park because so much of what the resort has been doing has been funneled into Spaceship. So, what was true of our 2019 visit essentially is still true of this visit. It's a beautiful park with just breathtaking exhibits, lots of like incredible dolphin, like a whole area of the park dedicated to dolphins with individual dolphin exhibits with like they have like river dolphins and bottlenose dolphins, obviously.
Pacific white-sided dolphins. Those
Pacific
are really
white-sided dolphins. Really just amazing exhibits. They have a beluga show, which we didn't watch this time, but we watched it last time, and that was pretty cool.
And the beluga exhibit. So, just to kind of keep on track with our day, actually kind of spell out a day in its entirety. So far, we've kind of been on point with that. So it was like early afternoon we went over. We weren't even planning on being there early, but we just kind of dipped. We're like, you know what? We don't want to be at Spaceship anymore. Let's go next door. Somewhere to do that we know we like. So we went straight to Parrot Coaster. And I think when we entered the park is when we realized that the two are not created equal, because everything was so freshly painted and everything was so looking so pretty, and the landscaping was even better than we remember. So because I think walking the entire way to Parrot Coaster, we were like, man, this park is so nice. And we're kind of complaining about how I couldn't believe that it was the same resort as the other park, because the park really is like super, super nice. And at Parrot Coaster was running multiple trains. Like they weren't even stacking. It was like they got the line moved away.
Yeah, ops were good.
Ops were really good. We're like, wow, this is so crazy, because even for China, you can be a big park, you can still have terrible operations at Universal. So it's one of those things where, you know, it was impressive to see. And I'll say Parrot Coaster. I mean, you can talk about Parrot Coaster for a bit if you want.
Yeah, Parrot Coaster is still one of our favorite B&Ms. It's running rougher these days, but it's still so good. These days. It's such a cool ride, and it's so clear how like the park was designed around it. It's in the back of the park in like the rainforest area. That exhibit, by the way, the main like underwater exhibit rainforest experience for around Parrot Coaster was even better than I remember, with like all the giant catfish and stuff. I mean, that exhibit was almost even more impressive to me this time than the whale shark exhibit was, because the whale shark exhibit was how I remembered it being, and yet somehow the rainforest, like river wetland exhibit was even better than I remembered. But yeah, after Parrot Coaster, we went to the aquarium. I mean, so one of the things at this park that is just kind of, it's a challenge at this park, but it's also a challenge at every park, is just across the board. Food is difficult. Vegetarian
Mostly
food.
for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm vegetarian.
But we did find high tea at the whale shark exhibit and had a really cool dining with whale sharks experience while having tea and snacks.
And I think the cool thing about that was not just that we got to do that because it was really, really fun, and it was really a highlight of our visit, and we'll post a little video about it online. But one of the reasons I enjoyed it so much is because we tried going to this restaurant in 2019, and we showed up and there was like 0 vegetarian items. They couldn't really do anything for us. So they sent us to a restaurant across the park that had pasta because they can make the pasta vegetarian, right? So we never got to be in this restaurant and sit, in this massive aquarium. And so this time around, being able to do the high tea and having all these little whale shark themed cookies and desserts and doing our teas and stuff, it was like a full circle moment. I think it was really fun. I was like, yeah, we got to eat at this restaurant, and it was kind of ideal. It was just like an afternoon high tea with some pastries and desserts and some tea, and it was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah. After that, we did the dark ride, of course, which is like such a better and more impressive dark ride than like the little dark ride exhibit attractions at Spaceship are. Like, it's just something about being at Ocean Kingdom that reminded me of why my expectations were still really high for Spaceship, and then they were just completely dashed, because then riding the dark ride, this underwater dark ride again, it's like, wow, like this really is amazing. Like, it's a huge on the mover dark ride with multiple underwater tunnel sections where you can see the giant stingrays and the turtles and of course the whale sharks. Like, just an incredibly cool ride. And then of course, after eating in the aquarium and riding through the aquarium, we walked through the aquarium. The whole start to finish exhibit with like moray eels and coral reefs and stuff, and then the big massive like 6 football stadium size whale shark exhibit, to still just so unbelievably impressive to this day.
And then after that, well, first of all, I want to mention real quick about the aquarium is the fact that that's included on park admission, it is insane, because this is like a George Aquarium level main tank, if not larger. What at one point had 8 whale sharks big, yeah. Last time, maybe 6 this time. But it's hard to tell because it goes on so far, you can't see the end of it. There's just like, oh, another whale shark's popping up. And then they have these giant tunnels, and there's so much to see inside. And so the fact that this entire aquarium is included in park admission, and it's like the signature attraction, but this park has a lot to offer. It's like SeaWorld on steroids. And so the fact that they have this attraction that would, in any other city around the world, be like a pretty high-ticketed special attraction, like the Georgia Aquarium, but then it is all included within this park admission, really tells you how this park is so spectacular, because, I mean, the amount of exhibits that are all so big and then also have an aquarium, I almost feel like this aquarium could have been kind of like Spaceship's kind of, if Spaceship had this aquarium inside of it and the orcas, then that alone would have made for like a killer second gate. But because this massive aquarium, that's like one of the biggest aquariums in the world already, was already at the main gate, yeah, it was kind of hard for Spaceship to ever be better than that.
Yeah.
To ever be like something else than another aquarium.
And there's just such an amazing variety of exhibits at this park. Like I said, there's lots of porpoises, and then like they have a polar exhibit with polar bears, grizzly bears.
I guess their beluga exhibit is nice. We did their beluga exhibit next. We didn't see the show. We did do the beluga exhibit this time, and that was nice, especially because the week prior we had gone to there's a Joy Ocean Park in Changsha,
which is also a Haichang park. Haichang Joy Ocean.
And if you're gonna listen to that podcast episode, we haven't launched it yet, but my opening for that episode is going to be the fact that we walked into a Burger King just to see like a beluga swim at us at the Burger King counter. Yeah, it's the most China thing you can imagine. That was a Joy Ocean Park. Yeah, so we'll talk about that later.
Watching the beluga swim in circles while I'm eating my chicken fries.
Something about it felt strangely Chinese.
Dystopian.
But then going to Chimelong a week later, like, at least Chimelong is like really nice, and the beluga exhibits are really nice, because all the Haicheng ones we saw in Nigeria were not very nice, including the Shanghai one. But then, at least the exhibits here are really nice. So the beluga exhibit is also very nice, very big, kind of goes on forever. You can't really see most of it, like, because all this kind of goes on forever. We walked by the repainted and the beautified Polar Express. No, Polar Explorer, not Polar Express. I just love
Sean
Polar Express.
loves the movie Polar Express. You'll have to excuse
everything
him.
is Polar Express.
So we didn't ride the water coasters this time. We rode them each once on our first visit, and we had really nice rides on them. But this time, we didn't feel like getting wet. So Parrot Coaster was the only coaster that we rode all day, which is amazing. I mean, that's a great coaster. You don't really need anything else other than Parrot Coaster, but it was fun to admire the Mack Water Coaster and Mack Super Splash coasters, respectively. Polar Explorer is the standard, at least the coaster portion is the standard, like Mack Poseidon layout, like at Europa Park, but it has an extended pre-lift and post-splashdown section where you snake through the Arctic exhibit and past a couple of bear exhibits.
Well, for those that aren't familiar with Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, the lines between animal exhibit and rides are really blurred here, particularly on this and on Walrus Splash. So on Polar Explorer, like Alex said, it's the Mack water coaster, but then you really do start going through an entire bear exhibit. There's bears really close to you, and the Wilson exhibit was much better than I remember. It was nice. The bears looked really well taken care of.
The bears looked better this time. I don't know why.
Okay,
but
it
last
looks
time
like they have.
They didn't look as happy. This time they looked normal.
Yeah, they weren't looking like they were like pacing up and down the stress. It actually seemed like that was all fixed. And then there's a polar bear exhibit inside, which is actually quite large, and you go all the way underground. But there was only like one polar bear that we saw. But I know there's a second, I think, but I don't know if it was on display that day. And then there's a penguin exhibit, which the penguin exhibit, and we've always described it as one of those things we can tell it was built early on in the park construction, because this park has really high quality exhibits, but you can also tell that maybe something was designed and built before they kind of did an art change exhibit. And they did like an improvement. Penguin exhibit is one of those. It feels a little weird, a little old. It feels a little antiquated, despite it being is the same age everything else in the park. But then the best thing is the finale to the exhibit. It has a finale. Oh
my God. The penguin exhibit, you guys, has this animatronic seal or walrus. Do you remember what animal it is?
Yeah, it's a monk seal, I think. A monk seal. It's like one of those Arctic seals that's like crazy aggressive. Scene
of like penguins. You have like an adult penguin and some baby penguins, and they're walking along.
They're waddling, yeah.
And then the monk seal comes up and starts roaring at them, and the penguins turn around and run away.
And they just waddle away. It is the funniest animatronic.
And then the monk seal goes away, and the penguins turn around, and it resets, and they just walk back.
It is one of the most iconic
randomly, like
Ocean
at the
Kingdom
end
things.
With no explanation or placard or anything. It's just there. And it's so fucking funny.
And they exit. No, that is one of the most iconic Chimelong Ocean Kingdom things. It is hilarious. It is so good. And then I think one of the most impressive areas of the park by far is Mount Walrus.
Yes.
So Mount Walrus is this self-contained land that has on one end of it has like a pinniped show, and then it has kind of like one of those like rock and tug, whatever boats. That's like kind of above
nice
the water.
Big one.
And then it has a massive Mack Super Splash that is between two walrus towers. I'm sure you've seen it. Especially if you're following our page, you've posted so many times.
Walrus-shaped mountains that somebody really had a stroke of genius there. Somebody was looking at a walrus one day and thought, like watching one like kind of sitting upright, and thought like this guy looks kind of like a mountain. It's giving mountain. You could carve mountains in the shape of walruses, and like it would work. It was just a stroke
and so it
of
does
genius.
just that. And it has these waterfalls off and these trees that are planted in it. And then, of course, the water coasters in between that. But then the way that everything is incorporated, there's all these animal exhibits that are incorporated within Wild Walrus. So at one point, there's like this thematic wooden wall that is themed to leaking into the big bay, right? Like really, it's a big bay, and you go around the bay, and in the middle of the bay is the water coaster, if I can best describe like that. So one of the exhibits is like is a seal exhibit.
It's so cute.
Or a sea lion exhibit.
Love that exhibit.
Is elevated like 2 stories over the big giant central lake. And then that exhibit like is themed to like leaking into the big bay.
Clever.
Right? But then there's another sea lion exhibit you can go into. You can go down the stairs
like
underwater. You can look at all the sea lions. It's underground. And then on one side of that is where the water coaster goes through a grotto. Like as it like rocks along, you know, like the big super splash. That's a really big intro. And you kind of go through like these shipwrecks, and you know, you're kind of dodging, and you're far below midway level. And then you go into this grotto, and in there is a giant wall with that you know, like an acrylic wall, and you are really in underwater. Like the half of the boat is literally below a glass panel where there's sea lions swimming around. It's super cool. And then where the splashdown is for Walrus Splash, there's a massive walrus exhibit that's like a giant, almost like lazy river kind of idea, where like it's a river, but you know, like goes in a big circle.
The lazy walrus.
And then there's, you know, all these places where walrus chill and be on the water, and there's like, it's the biggest walrus exhibit I've seen by far. It makes the ones at SeaWorld look like a single room. You know, it's like, it's so massive. And then you can also go downstairs there, and there's underwater viewing. So there's all these little exhibits that are all part, like they're all kind of tucked away. Like you can kind of see them from afar, but you can also go into them. It's very exploratory. Like Mount Walrus may be my favorite area of the park.
Yeah, that's when the one that like, really leaves an impression. It has this nice like Pacific Northwest kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's just like a portrait of a perfect fleshed out area where everything just is married so beautifully and so neatly. Again, we didn't ride the coaster this time. We had so much fun just taking pictures of it and walking around. And but like the water coaster in the polar area, this is an extended version of the standard Super Splash setup, where there's an extended custom flume portion going through the exhibit before it leads to the lift hill. And then the first turntable is enclosed in a lighthouse, and the lighthouse was nicely repainted on this visit, had a totally different color scheme. And the lighthouse also serves as kind of like the entrance, like sort of a weenie for the park. Like it's right
100%.
To the left when you're walking into the park. It's a huge like entrance beacon. And then of course, like you go down the entrance midway, and you're under the big Stingray that has the LED screen on the belly of the Stingray, which is the roof. So like there's just a lot of great style choices here, but especially in Mount Walrus. Just amazing, just incredible.
Yeah, every one of these worlds are designed, I mean, it's just amazing. You have that like adventure island we next you go into, that's like all the land animals. But then you have Mount Walrus.
Yeah, we didn't go this
the
time.
Arctic.
That's where the kiddie coasters are.
Ocean Avenue stretches from the beginning of the park all around the central lagoon, which is called, is it like Hengqin Ocean is the name of it. And then you go all the way down to the aquarium in the back. And on the other side of the park, you have Rainforest and Dolphin Cove. And they're all really, really large, fleshed out areas with all these little sub exhibits and attractions. It is theme park master design. It is done so well. It's just so funny to me that the company that built one of my favorite theme parks, one of the pinnacle of theme park design almost, can mess up Spaceship so bad. It's just the moral of the story here. But then this is also
the same company that built Chimelong Paradise, and like the OG Chimelong Paradise is nothing to write home about. So like,
but it's OG, you know. You think they would only
it just
keep
made me realize
better.
I was like, oh my god, like Chimelong Ocean Kingdom is not the rule; it's the exception. Everything else that Chimelong is doing is not good. Because they have like that animal park now that's like
that new
north
safari park
of
terrible.
Guangzhou. That is like kind of iffy, and like they have a kiddie coaster,
which is unfortunate because that park was conceptualized to be like the antithesis of Ocean Kingdom, where it was going to be like this giant giraffe hotel, and there's like these giant like treehouse structures, and it was going to be this like elephant themed giant raft ride. I mean, it was going to be like the Ocean Kingdom.
It was going to be like
Chimelong
Ocean Kingdom meets Disney's Animal Kingdom, and that's just like not what happened.
unless there is still hope, they are going to add that park and that concept to the Hengqin Resort, because the Hengqin Resort is really, really well. It's not like a single gate. It's a massive resort next to Macau. So who knows? There's always a possibility there. But we did go back to Parrot Coast to ride it at night a few times. Alex already mentioned we did do the rainforest exhibit too, which is again so impressive.
Didn't that one just blow your mind this time? Like, I loved it last time.
Both times.
This time it just was even more. I was like, I swear to God, they added more to it. I know they didn't, but like,
yeah, I mean, last time we just got lost in the sauce. We were in there forever. And this time too, it just kept going.
In the sauce.
And then like the details, it seemed to like this, like almost like abandoned temple and parts,
it's like a flooded shrine.
And the aquarium goes all around you. It is so impressive. Oh my God, I can't wait to go back and spend the whole day exploring the same stuff I've explored before, because it's so big and like it's really impressive stuff. And then we of course rode Parrot Coaster at night a few times, which is really fun because it's really not fun at night. And then we saw the nighttime parade, which we weren't even really going to see, but because it does this loop around the entire Hengqin Bay, we had time to like ride Parrot Coaster a few times while it was going on and then still catch the end of it. And then where we caught the end of it is also where we decided to watch the nighttime fireworks show. So the parade was really cool. It was really big with all these flamethrowers. Remember we got those light up sticks?
The little light up sticks. One. Oh my God.
We were so sad when we lost one.
Yeah, I put it in my pocket, in my back pocket. It fell out, and I was like, "That's okay." It's a really cheap. I mean, they have like hundreds of these. It's just like a piece of foam with a couple of like LED lights, like on some wire, like taped to a hearing aid battery. Like it's probably not something we should have brought on an airplane back to America anyway, but it was cool in the moment. Like at the time,
I
like
just wanted the Chimelong pool noodle.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you couldn't tell me or my Chimelong pool noodle nothing." Like it was great.
Oh my God!
And then
it was great.
And then we had Ocean Resistance, which still slaps, even though this was the first time we saw a nighttime show with drones. I mean, this was 2019. Nighttime drones have. And I think of drones, especially like theme park nighttime show drones, as like a post-COVID phenomenon. And in a way it is, because when we saw Ocean Resistance in fall of 2019, it blew our minds because I had just never seen anything like it. Like light up drones and stuff. It just took me away. Like I was so stunned. And it's still very impressive. There's just so much. So much. It is like, they should call it like ocean overstimulation, because it's like you've got fireworks being launched off of the 200-foot whale shark statue over the whale shark exhibit. You have jet skis,
perimeter fireworks, by the way. There's like 6 launching points of fireworks around the park.
Yeah, there's like a pirate boat
where you're
in the middle of the lagoon.
Always fire.
And every night they're having like 4th of July on Las Vegas Strip, like level pyrotechnics for this show. But like there was like the waterboarding, like jetpack waterboard guys attached to the jet skis that have like fireworks like coming off of their feet, and like they're doing backflips and the fireworks are going.
And they wear these backpacks that have those spinner things on them. So like they spin fireworks every direction while they're on these water jetpacks. What are they called again? Those water things?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
But yeah, it's like a jetpack where they're like standing on this like boogie board thing in the water jet.
No, flyboards, babe. That's what they're called.
Levitating. Oh, the fireworks?
No, they're called flyboards.
Oh, yeah.
The things you're standing on, they're flyboards, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then they have the jet skis, like you mentioned, and it's one of those things where, like, you don't think you need it in your life, because who thinks, like, they're going to need, like, that in their life? It's someone somewhere at Chimelong was like years ago, too, 2014, by the way, they debuted this. Mm-hmm. Someone at Chimelong said Ocean Resistance, they're just going to go in circles with, like, 8 jet skis, and on the back of the jet skis, they're just going to launch fireworks like 100 meters into the sky. And so these jet skis are like up and down the waves, going high speed through this lagoon and just shooting fireworks out like systematically, like at the same time. It's the most spectacular thing. The first time I saw it in 2019, I cried.
Yeah.
I was like, couldn't believe it. Like so much was happening. I was like crying. And it's not like an emotional journey like Disney. It's not like, oh, magic. You know, it's like, it's just so much. It's just so much.
It's just so beautiful. The music is so good.
Oh my God. And then the best part is when, like, because they have water fountains, of course, like it's a giant fountain display too, like roll the color at the same time. And so, because everything is in the show. And the lagoon lights up on fire. It does everything.
Yeah, it's like Phantasmic and World of Color. and Paint the Night and the the drone show.
It's literally every show imaginable in one.
Every Disney show ever in one show.
And then at the very end, there's like a post show that they do every night.
It's a dance party.
It's just a fountain show with the number one song that we will hopefully play for you in this episode.
Yeah.
Or we may have already played
Sven
this episode.
can find the audio and like...
I can find the
audio. I know, because the
Trust
audio
me.
is not... Like, we need to find good quality version of this audio. You'll know the viewer
there's this
already
song-
if we were successful in finding this audio.
Yeah.
Because that's what we named
is a
this
mission for
episode
us at this
after.
time.
Chimelong Rendezvous.
Rendezvous. And so, yeah, that is the song. And the song is like, it's so good. And it's like the story of our life. So they play that song for like 10, 15 minutes after the main show, while the fountains and the laser are still going. And then you leave and you're just like in emotional awe.
It's just
they definitely know how to, they know how to end the night.
They know how to climax, man. Because
like Celestial Goodnight. How about a Chimelong Goodnight, babes?
Yeah. How about a Whale Shark Goodnight? Like,
how about a Whale Shark Goodnight?
Literally.
How about a Chimelong Rendezvous?
Yeah.
Because like you end and like you're so overstimulated and you're so happy.
You're just like waiting
and,
for
like,
your
they
taxi.
play that
Like
song. it's like psychological. Like they did some sort of math thing there, and they said these people are gonna. This is how we're gonna get 14 million annual.
Yeah,
you know?
this is how we're gonna get everybody in China to come to this park.
God, and like sure enough, I'm already planning my next return next spring because I cannot do another year at Chimelong in my life. And so to think that this is the ending of the episode, it's where we hated Spaceship so much, disliked it so much. I will give Spaceship another chance next time, but I will only pop in to see what the situation is. It's only fair if we're there.
Yeah,
and to
show up
wave
and
at the
see
orcas,
the orca show again and then leave. It's like,
and then like leave and spend most of the day at Chimelong.
Kingdom.
Or I think we even played around with the idea of doing 2 days where we do a half day at a Spaceship and then a day and a half at Chimelong, because the shows and stuff take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So we want to see the dolphin show again, the beluga show, the pinnipeds, whatever, and ride the coasters and do the aquariums. You need more than a day because Ocean Kingdom is overwhelming like that. So that's also a possibility, and it's cheap. It's China,
Mm-hmm.
expensive for Chinese standards, but I don't find it to be that crazy. And then, so anyway, it was supposed to be a shorter form episode, but it is a longer form episode.
See,
so
I was right.
In that case, to all of our listeners, enjoy this bonus content because it was supposed to be a short form, but it's a long form anyway. You're right. I mean, it is chimed long after all.
Chimelong, it's not fucking chime short Ocean Kingdom, okay?
So dumb. Oh my god. I think we should finish the episode with that. And just how like Chimelong Ocean Kingdom is really a 5-star destination. Chimelong Ocean Kingdom.
I know what you're about to
You
say.
should leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And we'd appreciate that. And we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.